Hello there, and welcome to another edition of XFeed. What's up? My name is The Schiller. As per usual, what we do on this show is go over things that are going well in crypto, as well as things that are not going as phenomenally. Talking about some legitimate buildings that people are thinking are a scam, which they're not. But I think we're wired in a certain way to the point that T-Doge is here like literally split seconds after we go live. Incredible. What a legend. Thank you for coming through. So let's jump into it. And I forgot I need to actually start the live stream here on Abstract. Incredible. Thank you for coming through. You ever hear yourself back? Do you like hearing your own voice? Or you're like, So last week we covered the fact that people were getting emails about a ledger. Getting physical packages is something that's starting to happen more and more often. They have your actual address. But how often do you realize and stop and think if you got something in person sent to you directly that it would end up being a scam? Now, I ordered a charging cable before, and it came with all these extra like little ads and packages of like random stuff. And upon a little bit of research, looking up these things, if it's like, oh, get like a free Beats AirPods, whatever, headset, you'd look at it and you'd realize, oh, okay, this is a scam. There's some sort of thing where they're trying to fish capital out of you. And it's not even crypto related. So just the world in 2025, the trust issues are going to be absolutely paramount. So Loki had this thing. We're just talking a little bit about a couple of anime collections. And so I want to give credit for Loki for bringing it up. But I want to highlight some of those anime collections just to have a little bit of like a look. Yo, Roar, what's going on? Roar, I need to be judgmental here. So this is Persona, which is one of the anime avatars that are out there. NFT collection. And I've always thought, you know what? I think these look all right. I think they look kind of cool. And they look a little bit different than the other ones. Am I going out and buying them? Not really, but I can appreciate the art. All right. So then you go over and then you have Azuki. And so you look at this and I mean, maybe it's just a me thing, but I feel like I almost prefer the collection before. But because Azuki's been around for a lot longer, they've done the events, they've gotten almost a million ETH in trading volume. That's actually crazy for Persona. Let's go back and check that out. 10,000. Well, 11,000 total volume. Okay, so that's like 100x difference. Jesus, Murphy. Absolutely insane. Yo, Dirty Unicorn. Hello, hello. What's going on? How are we? And then for Final Bossu, which is a collection that's over on Abstract. This one's a little bit different. It's feeling kind of grungier, I guess, if you will. But I don't know. I don't necessarily vibe with it as much. But the question with it is when we actually line these up, Azuki's the most expensive. Final Bossu is second. And then Persona is last. Even though I would argue that I think I like the Persona art the best. So interesting how the cookie crumbles in that effect. A little bit of a security reminder as well. We've highlighted this last week as well. Unfortunately for Ivar, this is something that they clicked on, but we've tried to go in depth about how this is a frequent thing within the sponsored section of certain sites. You look up Uniswap, you look up OpenSea, you look up marketplaces for certain chains that are potentially a little bit not the norm or the top thing that people would search, and people are trying to throw in ads that are scam links. So when you look at that, obviously you can see that it's hyperswp.com instead of swap. So that's kind of a giveaway. But in general, try not to click on anything that is sponsored. Update: the Plume Network met with the SEC proposing a DeFi sandbox and new rules for tokenized securities. Now, look at that. One thing that I love about doing the podcast, and this is called RWA Segments Podcast. If you look it up wherever, type that title in somewhere, you check out the link down below on YouTube or in my bio on X. I've talked with the CEO of Plume Network. His name is Chris Yin, guy in San Francisco, got a piano in the background. I think the guy's a genius. Super, super insightful conversation. And this isn't necessarily like a big breakdown of what Plume Network is. We kind of talk more philosophical about things. But he's a brilliant mind. So this was back on April 1st, episode 46, if you want to go back and listen to that. But seeing these sort of big names and happenings with people, you kind of forget and you stop and you think and you're like, damn, we're interacting or talking with people, and whether it's, you're liking their tweets, happen to listen to some content, or end up interacting with them online, is like, is that not super cool that we just don't appreciate the access to people that we have that are really trying to make change in a bigger scale? I just want to throw that out there. All right, we got some news. What do we got?
We are going big on digital assets. So Trump administration has made digital assets a priority. Past administration starved and almost made extinct a lot of these companies and pushed it offshore. So what we want to do is apply the highest U.S. regulatory and AML standards to digital assets, especially stable coins. And I've seen estimates that just over the short term, stable coins could create $2 trillion of demand for U.S. Treasuries and Treasury bills. To put that in context, the number is probably about $300 billion right now. We are going big on
digital assets. That was a lot to hear. So I went back in the time zone of X, and I found CyberKong's old post. So let me read it. This is the first concept of our capital on Kong's Island, technologically superior and living in harmony with nature, built by Exonch from Crypto Cities. We cannot wait to meet all of you there in the sandbox game with their CyberKong's VX. So this is still something that confuses the hell out of me. And if you're not able to see, there's like a little CyberKong's logo right across the top of the city. But Crypto Cities designed all these landscapes of Greece, New York City, all these futuristic cities. A lot of really, really cool things. But then I don't know if it's really come to fruition. And like, here's an example of like a castle. Aesthetically, it looks great, but the idea is that you're supposed to actually be able to go out and run around with things. And I feel like I've brought up Crypto Cities often, but I'm still like not seeing it as in my face as I thought. But they're still going. So let's read this, the About Us, because this was a huge collection at the time. And I don't know, like, can I go to a store? My holdings, cities, suburbs. I mean, maybe there's a link to actually purchase these things. Oh, yeah. Okay, so like Rio de Janeiro. Can we click on this? How do we go to this? Open C. So Rio de Janeiro. At a point... Oh, that was an airdrop. They must have won one of the... So this is a 2,000 ETH volume. I'm trying to give context. Sorry, I know I'm trying to get to the point here, but there's no sales activity on this. That doesn't even make sense. 10% creator royalties, 102 items. From my recollection, these things were going for like 50 ETH at a time, right? And these were like created cities, and here's like an example of like a city that's completely different. But the metaverse, so back when it was like really, really exciting. Crypto City started out in March of 2021 as a voxel-based art collection of one city, Microcosm, was founded by the core team Kai, Will, and Bo. Since its inception, we've grown into a family of the highest quality artists, developers, and designers who are committed to pushing the voxel medium into the mainstream. From cities to suburbs to our metaverse development team, every asset that we create is a one-of-one and handcrafted, ready for deployment in any 3D environment through our proprietary software. As the collection continues to mint, we've been committed to developing immersive pixel worlds that can be explored in virtual reality, integrating our assets into wider metaverse, and building out the best NFT community. And then you can follow some of their extra stuff on there. But I don't get it. Like, none of these things are listed. There is no history for all of it. But, like, clearly you can see that there was a lot at one point in time. Maybe I'll just click on another one and hope that their sales history is something there. I know it's an airdrop. Maybe these were all airdrop, but it shows the sale, so it doesn't make... Oh, Atlantis is cool, right? Like, these things are kind of neat. Like, the fact that somebody handmade all of these is sick. But anyway, we'll kind of see what happens there. Again, the About Us doesn't really say a whole lot. If we go to... I don't know, the mint portal? Sure. What does that show up? Bridge, auction, allow list. Nothing on there. The jungles. Every ape needs a jungle. An ape chain project by Collector City. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so they have another collection. So it's on Magic Eden. I wonder if they remove something on OpenSea, and that's why it's only here. Connect to Ape Chain. I haven't even heard about this, and usually you hear a lot about things that are successful within Ape Chain. Floor price is only 2 ape. Damn. So they They sold 4,444. It doesn't seem like there was a huge uptick on that because like 2 ape is not much, but I don't know. There's a little bit of insight from something that was really massive at one point. It's still doing stuff, but again, like you're trying to catch up, you're trying to read things, make things make sense when we're going through it. If you're anybody that's building out there. Saigar, 865,000 plus Red Bull Racing NFTs minted on Abstract this weekend. So we covered it before, but there was this set of mints that you can end up buying that are official Red Bull licensed collectibles, and if you get all of them, there's some extra perk with it. But amazing turnout, including a large number of users onboarded to Abstract and crypto for the first time. And I saw a poll the other day that brought up that friends were like 40% of the poll's respondents. That was the way that they got into crypto, through friends. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, that's the same for me. So curious for you. Do you get friends that were, pushing you in the direction of, hey, maybe look at this stuff? Or was it you just being curious? Yesterday, I paid $40 for 3 tacos and a strawberry lemonade. This can't be the world I'm supposed to build a family in. So a little bit more of a serious tone, but also back to the point of like who introduced you to crypto, all this kind of stuff. It's like there's really a huge change on everything money, on everything across the world. Everybody's paying attention to everything, and I feel like a lot is going to change in the next couple of years. And if you would have told me that I'd pay $40 for 3 tacos and a lemonade in 2025, like 5 years ago, I would have said, you're absolutely out of your mind. Justin, James Wynn closes a $1 billion short position for a $13.4 million loss. Okay, these people have unbelievable amounts of money. They just don't care. That's cool. That's cool. The wait is over. Introducing the first decentralized MasterCard by Join. Ready for the future of payments. They're now taking 2K people. I've actually talked with the team from Join before, so I'm trying to pause this, and the video's not letting me pause, so we'll just let it go.
Hi everyone, in 45 seconds I'm going to show you a world first, how you can buy treasury bills on chain and spend them on a MasterCard immediately.
First, we deposit funds into our BlackRock 1-year US Treasury bill earn account. Here, we deposit 10,000 USDC. Now, simply hit the transfer button, select the spending account, enter the amount you want to transfer, and you are done. Funds have now been sent from your U.S. Treasury bond earn account to your spending account, which is linked to your MasterCard with funds available and ready to spend.
And now we're going to show you how easy it is to spend your treasury bills at any point of sale around the world. Today we're in Dubai and we're going to grab a coffee. Lavazza coffee, good stuff. Let's go check it out. First, let's scan the product. Finish and pay. Let's use our credit card. As you can see, I got my Join card ready to go. Now we're turning it into coffee. And voila, just like that, I've turned treasury bills on chain, which I bought instantly, into coffee. This is an exciting
hell
day
yeah.
for everyone.
So this is, I can't, the video just won't want to save. Yeah. But the point being, is there's people that thought like that was a scam earlier because it's like, oh, the guy's on his balcony and then in the store. And like, I've talked with them. They're working on a whole bunch of stuff. They've gotten grants. They've been working for quite a while and have like an extensive resume. So they're legit. But it is cool that we're having more and more decentralized options and cards in that sense. And I'm telling you what's dude. Roar, what you saying here? We have been rolled all this time like cinnamon rolls. Bravo. I love the choice of words. Like pancakes, like cannolis, like raccomboli cakes. What the hell is that? For me, it's been even more clear that those known brands of NFTs who do not deliver anything than collections just want to stick greed and keep on investing their money as they sell more draws to people. But it's starting to unravel by this point, and they either use old formulas or make a new one or lose those. So it's an interesting point, though, because I think there's still a lot of people that have these brands or IPs or have like, I'll call it like a foundation of something, right? Like, can we use that like terminology of like, all right, so there's something there. There's people that are interested. Maybe there's a product. Maybe there's a brand. There's, the foundation of something. Again, something could be very broad. So it could be not that great. It could be okay. It could be absolutely amazing. But how many times are we going to see certain acquisitions of things? Because we would just look and see at everything that has happened with the likes around Yuga. They've acquired things, they've dropped things, they've done a whole bunch of moves. And obviously, you and I are not on the inside. There might be some people that are able to add extra context to things and see these mergers and acquisitions within Web3. But moving forward, how many of them decide, hey, we're going to shut up shop? How many of them are going to be able to get picked up by something? How many things just go by the wayside? And I used the comment before, and I know that I repeat myself on a lot of these things, so it's like, shit, give me a new point. But we see a lot of people that I thought we wouldn't have any problems if you're building in 2025, because you have to be crazy to build something in 2025, right? Like, you have to have a product. You have to have something that people are actually going to care about. You've seen years of development and like things to do, things not to do, people that have lived through it, and a lot of people that are like emotionally invested beyond belief, and then financially as well. But they're there and they're open to help if you can give it. But we're still seeing like just stupid moves coming from certain businesses in 2025 within the crypto space specifically, right? Like I'm not talking beyond, but it's like you watch things that happen and you're like, are we going to do anything that's like kind of good? Is this all going to be based off of like digital assets at the point? What's the end goal that we're trying to achieve? And why I've also made the point of, for a lot of these IPs, it's making comics, it's doing a show, it's doing, in a lot of cases, we're actually seeing trading card games, right? Like for Vibes, we've had the Azuki TCG that's come out. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones, but I mean, those are two, right? Not everybody touches on every angle, similar to how like Doodles is doing the TV show, but not everybody else is going out to doing that sort of thing. And it's just, I don't know. Is everybody trying to do the same thing? Is there enough room to get the IP and the interest from everybody out there? Yo, Dirty Unicorn coming through with a whole fat 420 Pengu at 6 p.m. Eastern. Jeez. Yo, thank you very much. Yo, add that to the $47.74. Now we're talking. True. So one of the old IPs, Tolly would know from back in the day, and you might as well, is Huxley. This is created by a guy named Ben Morrow. I did an interview way back in the day with Ben Morrow. Like one of my first, well, maybe not first ever interviews, but like probably like first 20 that I've ever done in my life. And this guy was a part of Halo. This guy was a part of a whole heap and hell lot of stuff. And had a crazy ass resume. And so they're building out this world for Huxley. And the videos that they produce are absolutely next level. The comics they're coming out with are great. And I think they actually have like a really solid IP. And then they sort of got into the realm of everybody switched from we're dropping secondary collections to, okay, we're building a game. When like there was no intention initially of building a game, but because that was the meta, having a token, all that other stuff, teams pivoted to do that. We had words that they were doing a game, and then it felt like that kind of fell short. However, I would again make the argument that I feel like the videos, the production, the animation stuff that they came out with was just absolutely wonderful. And so were the books. They were solid. But I just don't see this on my timeline as much anymore. But back in the day, it was all over. And I mean, they had an Avatar collection. They had a little bit of everything. So this would be something where I would argue and say, all right, well, if there was anybody that was out there trying to acquire an IP of sorts, this would be it. Okay, so they have a multiplayer experience. Explore the Wasteland of Fury 7 and the Unreal Engine 5 powered multiplayer experience using Unreal Lyra for PC. So I think I've seen some videos of this, and it looks like it's just kind of a little area. So, I mean, okay, cool. We didn't do this big broad, we're going to do like Star Wars Battlefront. We just have kind of like a basic experience. But then you go over and we look at the films here. Huxley, the Oracle, Explorer, short film. I'm just going to play this right quick because you guys deserve to see this. It looks great. It looks absolutely great, but I feel like it's just literally not on my timeline at all. And I don't know why. And maybe it's because they didn't get like the profile picture to stick. Maybe it's they need to find like a better way to get like the distribution out there. Maybe some of the people that were originally in it aren't as vocal on social media. I don't know. But again, back to the whole, and I mean, this was the character where like all those lights went off, and you're probably like, what is that supposed to mean? That was just like the enemy for anybody that doesn't know. But there you go, you got the story. And I had these comics. I have no idea where the heck they were, but I had some of the first ones that I got back in the day from having some of the assets. I don't know where it is. I got to go looking for it. That said, that's cool. And so is this. Team vesting update from the Mon protocol from Pixelmon. All key decision makers, a category comprising founders and management team, key advisors, and board members of Pixelmon and Liquid X have extended their Mon token cliff from 12 months to 18. We're committed to the long-term vision of building great games and IP. This is about staying aligned with our community and vision. Head to Pixelmon Discord for more details. So again, just kind of, I guess, like a bonus for people that are into that ecosystem, and good to see that they are trying to, show things off in a little bit of a different light. And showing things off in a different light is something that I think you kind of need to do. And we have an odd way of looking at things, because a lot of the times, and this has happened actually quite frequently recently, where I talk with somebody and I give like a hot take of like, if there's two sides of the story, we'll call it 50-50. And like my side is like, like 90% in favor of one way, or like hard fashioned, I think this. And somebody just responded to me, and it's made me like flip that 90% down to like maybe even less than 50. And so it's back to the loose values and held tightly. I forget what the quote is, son of a bitch. But the point being is I've changed my mind a little bit. And there has been a lot of things that have launched and maybe launched at the wrong time. Now, I don't have any of this anymore. And for anybody that's watched the stream for like ever, back in the day of NBA Top Shot, when I started going out and trying to look at a DeFi ecosystem, when I'm trying to initially learn all that stuff, and yo, Peckham, what's up? Good to see you. I came across a thing called BMI, which is Bridge Mutual, and the concept around it was decentralized insurance. And this was at the same time when I first got into the space, and you just, the security risks are always there, but it was the biggest fear, right? Because it's like, all right, you don't have a bank or some intermediary to help you if something screws up. Having some sort of insurance in a decentralized way, if we're all using this decentralized world, well, that sounds really, really important. So that ended up kind of stalling out. They spent an absolute millions plus dollars trying to do something where they were doing an update, but Ethereum gas fees were costing them insane amounts. It was slow. They had like a main developer that was like scamming them, and then they figured it out, and all these things that were bad. This is a super stupid long story to get to the point that they rebranded. And so we have the choice at this point to be like, all right, well, they failed at certain things before. They didn't have their proper due diligence. Was this, that, and the other thing? Or we could have the perspective meter flip and be like, all right, well, maybe they were too early for the market. Those things happened. The team's still trying to do something that was the core members from before, and they're, genuine people, right? So there's two ways to look at it. But with that, they've named themselves DN for like decentralized insurance. You know how there's like DPIN and everything else, like DeFi, obviously DeFi, but DInfo. Everything's just having like a D for decentralized in front of it, and then afterwards. So it's actually kind of a clever name, but they're coming out on the show, which is the Crypto Night Show. The only investment reality show where you can invest in the hottest crypto projects, in the first show funded by a person with a coin. So this is something I'm going to like try to watch, because I just want to see if they end up like actually succeeding, or if that idea was awful to begin with in the first place. But everybody's wanting an audience of some sort. And what are these TV shows? What are these podcasts? What are everything that's relating around crypto right now going to be able to do? Are we going to see a big uptick of people wanting that, right? Because if you have the option between watching Shark Tank, right, which for anybody that doesn't know is basically like the original, choose if you want to invest in a business, or do people want to see what people are trying to do within the crypto space? Because obviously it's much more of a niche, But over time, does one get more popular, which is the same argument over in esports and traditional sports. Is it our point that esports ever gets more popular than traditional ones? And certain games have peaks, ebbs and flows, all that kind of stuff. But no, I would argue that's not been the case. And we've still seen traditional sports vastly outperform esports. So for these reality shows in that single situation, what do we see? Rita, with an interesting point here, talking about Ape Chain and Bored Ape Yacht Club. I think this is a great idea if Ape Chain or Bored Ape would sweep mutants and transfer them to Ape Chain. Traders who are on Ape Chain flipping their way on Ape Chain to a Mutant Ape Yacht Club would at least maintain the volume on Ape Chain, and funds used to sweep would return to the BAYC Ape Chain vault. Now, this was an original post quote tweet from Jed, who was saying, why the hell aren't Yuga assets over on Ape Chain? And I think we've seen that with a couple different ecosystems, right? I mean, if you look over on Root Network and Fluff World, they haven't moved over the Fluffs. They've moved over certain collections, but they haven't moved over the main one for Bored Apes, these mutants. It's the same thing. We have these native chains that are from these teams that are supposed to be, the premier assets of those chains, but then we'll still go back to Ethereum. So what does that say about Ethereum? Do we have a problem that potentially people aren't going to buy them if they're denominated in a different currency? Just kind of food for thought overall. The problem is not the volume or profits people can make by sweeps, and trades. It's the utility. Well, that's something to watch as well, because I think one of the big things with Bored Ape Yacht Club is the utility's been a whole bunch of different airdrops, which have not really lit anywhere except for short-term excitement. And then the events. So like Ape Fest over here. And the staking, sorry. So when the staking runs out, which I think is like later this year, what happens with all those assets? Are they still considered art, or were people only trying to accumulate based off of the yield from, said assets? So Kagi Jan with kind of holy smokes, another day, another problem. Shatterline Shooter by far away GG is shutting down. Another high-end graphic game is shutting down, this time coming from the AVAX network. The message reads shifting focus from multiplayer to single player, but that is essentially a slow shutdown. So Shatterline. This was another big game within Web3. I feel like we've had a couple of ones that have, for lack of a better term, transcended your traditional, they're building a Web3 game to, these people might actually create a game that there's a decent amount of players to it. And so the post reads, we have some big news to share. Starting June 26th, 2025, Shatterline will be shifting its focus from online multiplayer to a single player experience. Check details in Shatterline Discord. Now, generally speaking, right, if we were just looking at this from a game perspective and you say, okay, well, a single player experience, that's cool. Maybe the game will survive. And there's a lot of people that would end up playing that and have a great time playing that game. Because again, that's the whole point of video games, to play the game. But this is like a blockchain game that's supposed to interact with a whole bunch of assets and everything else. And so if it's a single player game, doesn't really have that same kind of idea with it. So Inhuman saying buys dead free to play game, doesn't update it really at all. Call it a Web3 game and put a price tag on it without any Web3 features. Game goes almost immediately after launch. Game shuts down. Potentially one of the dumbest moves I've seen in gaming yet. Oh, Gated. Isn't this just great being out here in Web3 land, eh? Not bad. Guys, I do want to give a shout out if you're out here and you happen to be wanting to watch on Abstract. We are live over there. If you go to Abstract Stream, I don't think there's a bajillion people on there, so you'll be able to see my face, or if you just type in Schiller, should pop up. I don't even know if you can search on Abstract, to be totally honest with you. But we're in there, and they can see 55 of me. But that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Do want to remind you again, if you are wanting to have more content, we do the RWA Segments podcast, which again, if you're watching on YouTube, the link's down below, or if you check in my bio on X, you'll be able to see that. You also see me 605 different times on here. Roar, thank you so much for coming through and adding your insight as per usual. Peckham, listen, I want to say sorry, but maybe there's a little bit of joy of where, you get that quick hit, and then if you want to go back, you can rewatch the stream. And then if you want to move on with today, you can just do that. But thank you for coming through as well. Titoge and Mr. M. Talia, the one and only. Enjoy your Tuesday. Enjoy 605 of me in this. See you guys tomorrow.